Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, councilmen, colleagues, and staff, and welcome to the Planning Board special meeting this evening of Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. via webinar session. Madam Chair, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. Can I ask everyone to please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Okay, thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, commissioners, planning board staff, ladies and gentlemen, as chairwoman of the City of Paterson's Planning Board, I call this meeting of November 3rd, 2021 to order. I hereby state that the provisions of the State of New Jersey Public Meeting Law have been fully and completely met, that the notice of provisions required have been properly posted in the Planning Board office and with the City of Paterson clerk, that the public notice and advertisements have been published in the Herald News on 10/22/21 in accordance with the law, and that the copies of such notice and public advertisements are on file in the Planning Board office, as is also the agenda listing the applications to be taken up by the Planning Board at this meeting. The procedures tonight will be in accordance with the rules, regulations, and bylaws as heretofore determined by the Planning Board at its office in the municipal complex in the City of Paterson. And before I ask for the roll call, I will ask everyone to please turn their mics off unless you're actually speaking. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Good evening, commissioners. Roll call as follows. Commissioner Ahmed.
Present.
Commissioner Cleaves is absent. Commissioner Fisher.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Iranzo.
Commissioner
Iranzo. Absent. Commissioner Santana. Present. Commissioner Roman.
Present, and good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, sir. Commissioner Fulmore.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Figueroa.
Present.
Councilman Kalik is absent this evening. Vice Chairman Eugene.
I'm here. Present.
Thank you this evening. And Chairwoman Northrop.
Okay. Again, everyone,
We have 8 commissioners in attendance this evening. You may proceed, Chairwoman Northrop.
thank you. And again, please turn off your mics unless you're speaking. All right, so notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act addressing the effect of coronavirus measures on the next public meeting. Consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order Number 107 given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020, by Governor Philip D. Murphy, the Planning Board of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8, commencing on April 15, 2020. Though there may potentially be a practical need for a limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in or near the council chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the State Executive Order Number 107, public participation will be available by calling 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001, and I will repeat that throughout the meeting. Planning Board special meeting of today, November 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson, www.patersonnj.gov. I believe tonight we just have this one special meeting on. It's the New Jersey Community Development Corporation. I do hear somebody's mic on. I don't know whose it is, so I'm going to ask one more time. So please make sure you're muted, okay? New Jersey Community Development Court, 318-330 Main Street, Block 4708, Lots 1. Mr. Maricondo, are you representing this applicant?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair. Alan Maricondo, on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so on a parcel containing 20,691 square feet and an existing building last used for religious purposes, which was the First Presbyterian Church, the applicant proposes to construct a 1,118 square foot lobby addition and renovate the existing building interior to provide for a bookstore, offices, a kitchen, exhibit, and activity space, and a theater to be used for performances and multi-purpose space. No off-street parking exists or is proposed. The proposal is located within the B-4 Central Business District. Variances are requested for parking as 161 off-street parking spaces are required and 0 off-street parking spaces are proposed. And any other variances that the planning board may deem required by state and municipal law. It requires site plan approval and bulk variances. There's a setback, there's a minimum setback of 20 is required and 15 feet is proposed. A minimum rear yard setback of 25 feet is required and 8.9 feet is proposed. Maximum building height as one of the 4 proposed buildings exceeds the 35-foot height limit.
Chairwoman,
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't know what you're reading from, Chairwoman.
I'm reading on something that I received from the agenda, and it came down, there's a page 2, and this was on there, but as I'm reading it, I don't think this applies to this particular application, and as I'm reading it, I don't understand it, but it is on my page 2, so.
I apologize for that.
No worries, let's just scratch that and say this requires site plan approval and bulk variances, done. Okay, so, with that, I'm going to ask, Mr. Deutsch to give us his review, please, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. As a not-for-profit corporation, New Jersey Community Development Corporation is exempt from property taxation. The existing building was originally built as a church. The prior occupant was the First Presbyterian Church. Morgan Engineering and Surveying.
Before you go any further, once again, I do hear somebody's mic on. I have to stress that the stenographer that records this cannot, Amalinda cannot hear all these conversations with background noise. So please, please, please shut off your microphones. Okay, thank you.
Morgan Engineering and Surveying has prepared a boundary and topographic survey of the property dated April 14th, 2021. Survey indicates that the parcel is located between Oliver Street to the south, Ward Street to the north, Chauncey Street to the west, and Main Street to the east. Main Street has a bifurcated frontage of 56.35 feet and 149.31 feet. Ward Street also has a bifurcated frontage of 16.05 feet and 128.13 feet. Chauncey Street has a property frontage of 203.29 feet, and Oliver Street has a property frontage of 72.96 feet. The site has area of 20,691 square feet, or 0.475 acres. French and Perella Associates has prepared a 12-page site plan dated July 30th, 2021. The first page is the cover sheet and it indicates the tax map, the zoning map, and the key map. The second page is an existing site aerial photo. Sheet 3 is the existing conditions plan and indicates a 2-story brick church. Sheet 4 is the demolition plan and indicates the removal of existing exterior walls, brick, sidewalk curb, vegetation, iron fences, wooden steps, and railings. Sheet 5 is the site plan and indicates the zoning chart, parking requirements, the proposed lobby addition, ornamental fencing, lawn areas, landscaping, and notes. Sheet 6 is the grading and utility plan. Sheet 7 is the landscape plan. Sheet 8 is the landscape notes and details plan. Sheet 9 is the soil erosion and sediment control plan. Sheet 10 is the soil erosion and sediment control notes and details. Sheets 11 and 12 are construction details. CTS Group has prepared an 11-page plan dated June 7, 2021. Only the title sheet has a revision date of August 16, 2021. Title sheet indicates scope of work, historic image, project data, and bird's eye view site plan. Sheet T101 are exterior color photos of the church. Sheet A101 is the proposed basement plan. It indicates a new elevator, a new men's and women's restrooms, and a new relocated custodial room. Sheet A102 is the proposed first floor plan and site plan. A new 1,118 square foot lobby addition is proposed. New interior rooms to be constructed include 2 theater storage rooms of 184 and 197 square feet, a new women's room, a new vestibule, and a new storage room. Sheet A103 is a proposed second floor plan. 2 new offices of 114 square feet each are to be created within the existing interior space. Sheet A104 is the proposed roof plan. The roof indicates proposed skylights. Sheet A201 are the proposed north elevations of the sanctuary and chapel. Sheet A202 are the proposed and existing east front elevations, which includes the proposed lobby addition. Sheet A203 are the proposed south elevations of the sanctuary and chapel. Sheet A204 are the proposed west and rear elevations. Sheet A301 are building sections of the chapel, church, and memorial hall. The anticipated hours of operation of this building are from 8 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. The B4 Central Business District has no minimum requirements for lot frontage, lot area, or lot width. The only variance being sought is for parking. On October 28, 2021, the applicant has advised the city that they will be coordinating with the Paterson Parking Authority to use available parking spaces at the underground garage located at Center City Mall, which is a short distance away from this proposed youth arts center. As indicated in the zoning table below, the applicant has presented a revised estimate of the number of off-street parking spaces required. The revised estimate is based on the removal of the existing assembly use in the center of the building to classroom use in the center of the building. The applicant now estimates that they require 103 off-street parking spaces instead of the 161 off-street parking spaces originally requested. The plans will be submitted to the city engineer for review. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating the plans are satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. Surrounding land uses. This property is located within the B4 Downtown Central Business District. The Center City Mall is located diagonally across from this proposal. Buildings range from 2 to 5 stories and include commercial uses on the first floors, offices and or residential units above, and upper floors in some buildings that are either vacant or used for storage. In conclusion, the approximate cost of this proposal is $4 million. The building is to be used as a Paterson Youth Arts Center, which will serve as the surrounding neighborhood in the entire city of Paterson. I also included in my emails a letter dated October 28, 2021, from Tony Perez, which says, "Dear Bob, I'm writing with respect to your plans to rehabilitate the former First Presbyterian Church at the corner of Main and Ward Streets. I am pleased that you are working to ensure the continued use of this special historic asset. During our conversations about parking, you informed me that the overall parking requirement for 103 off-street parking spots. Moreover, you requested approximately 50 spots during regular business hours and another 50 spots during off-peak hours. We can accommodate this in our parking garage within the Center City Mall directly across the street from the church. Accordingly, we'd be happy to work with you to ensure that your parking needs are met so that the repurposed church can contribute to our city's economic revitalization. Sincerely, Tony Perez, Executive Director, City of Paterson Parking Authority." I also submitted a memorandum from the Historic Preservation Commission. As your staff review this proposal, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mariconda?
Yes, again, good evening, Commissioners and Madam Chair. Also, thank you again for hearing us on a special meeting basis. We are presenting to you this evening another application on behalf of New Jersey Community Development Corp., which I know the board is very familiar with its work throughout the city, and in particular with regard to the historic district and the downtown business district over the last many years. This is a site which involves adaptive reuse, as Mr. Deutsch accurately cites, of a vacant church, and we're hoping to restore it, to provide a very vital community service as a Paterson Arts Center for the youth of the surrounding community. Mr. Garashi will be our first witness to describe the nature of the proposed use of the building, and we'll be following that up with architectural and engineering / planning testimony to follow. And we believe that this will provide the board, hopefully with sufficient basis, to consider this application in a favorable manner. It's an opportunity to develop a building that has laid dormant for quite some time. We are very pleased that the Historic Commission has strongly recommended our approval, and we're very happy to be working with Mr. Perez again with regard to providing parking during daytime and evening hours, because as you'll hear during this testimony, this is a facility which will be used over various times of the day. And we're very excited about the opportunity it presents for the young people of the city of Paterson. That being said, I'll be calling Mr. Garashi as our first witness.
Okay, please proceed.
Mr. Garashi?
Yes,
Please raise your right hand. You swore affirm testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your full name for the record, please?
Robert Garashi, G-U-A-R-A-S-C-I, and I reside at 217 Elberon Avenue in Paterson.
Good evening, Bob. Could you give us your position with NJCDC?
Chief Executive Officer.
And as such, you're fully familiar with the proposal before the board tonight?
I am.
Okay. Bob, what we'd like to do is just have you give an overview. I know the board is very familiar with the work of NJCDC, but could you tell us why this particular building is of interest to your board and what you generally propose to utilize it for?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. This is a very exciting project. What we are proposing to do is take what we believe is the oldest standing church in Paterson, constructed in 1852, and once the congregation of Paterson residents who went on to be New Jersey governors and United States senators, and preserve it for future generations. We're proposing an adaptive reuse so that this historic building can serve modern day purposes. The most significant aspect would be to turn the church sanctuary and its beautiful stained glass windows into a youth performing arts venue. We envision its use by many schools in the area, a place where students can sing in a choir or act in a play, learn set design, or even how to work lighting. For other areas of the building, we're also creating youth-friendly spaces. There will be a maker space with a STEM focus to help kids succeed academically. There will be an art lab to enable students to express themselves creatively. And there will be an exhibit area designed to teach kids about Paterson's history and how renewable energy is not a new thing, but it all started when Alexander Hamilton saw the falls and built the raceways. Now, I'd like to say up front that we acknowledge the application requires a parking variance. We are sensitive to that. As stewards of this neighborhood, we do not want to generate increased congestion or parking challenges. And with regard to parking, as you've heard from Mr. Deutsch, we have taken the initiative to coordinate with the Paterson Parking Authority, and we've received their commitment to make 50 parking spots available during regular business hours and 50 after regular business hours, right across the street at the Center City Mall. With regard to any potential congestion, we will pay particular attention to the hours of 3 to 4 p.m. when school students are dismissed, and in particular, we will look to schedule programming that does not add to the already significant congestion during those times. And lastly, while we certainly would prefer to have on-site space for parking and traffic circulation, that's just simply not possible given the constraints of the site without demolishing a significant portion of this important piece of Paterson's history. I'll just conclude by saying that NJCDC never started out as an organization to be historic preservationist, but it's now become a labor of love. And the work that we intend to do to preserve this church is especially important because the building is not listed on state or national registers of historic properties. And that means that if it were bought by a private party who was not using federal funds, that party could take down the entire structure and demolish it. And for a place where Sarah Ryle, wife of one of Paterson's greatest industrial giants, started our state's first Sunday school in 1802, that would be a tremendous loss for all of us. And so tonight, I thank you for listening to our proposal. We will spend millions of dollars to take an increasingly dilapidated historic structure and bring it back to life. It will be an important part of improving our city, and we respectfully ask for your support of it this evening.
Thank you. And before we go any
Thank
further,
you, Madam Chair. If I
Mr. Lorenzo, I just want to make the record
Thank you.
correct. Yeah, Mr. Lorenzo is in attendance and has been for at least the past 5 to 6 minutes I've seen him on. So, I just wanted to make sure the record is straight. And thank you very much, Mr. Garashi, for your dissertation on this church. It was very interesting, and it is something that I think is a good thing that we try to preserve it. In the meantime, I'm gonna go on and ask Mr. Mariconda if you could possibly call your next witness, please.
Before you do so, I'd like to make it duly noted, Chairwoman Northrop, that I have placed Mr. Commissioner Iranzo as present this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, so, Mr. Mariconda, please call your
Yes.
next witness.
Thank you. We'll be calling our first expert witness for architectural testimony at this time. Brian?
Please raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I believe you might be muted.
Me?
No.
Am I
Sorry.
muted?
Yes, I do.
You're
Oh.
just, okay.
Okay, please state your full name for the record, please.
Brian Compertor. I'm with CTS Group Architects in Chatham, New Jersey.
Good evening, Brian. Brian, would you give us just a brief presentation of your professional licensing background?
Sure, I graduated from NJIT with my master's in architecture in 2006. I was licensed in 2011 in the state of New Jersey. I've presented in front of the Paterson Historic Commission numerous times, in front of the Planning Board once or twice, and in front of Newark Planning Board and Historic Commission numerous times as well.
Thank you very much. We accept him as an expert witness. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Brian, you had an opportunity to hear Mr. Deutsch's report to the board, as well as Mr. Garashi's testimony. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And obviously, you're aware of the Historic Commission's approval of your proposed design and the fact that we are obtaining parking from the parking authority. With that being said, you could give us your overview of the proposed renovations and utilization of the building.
sure. I'm just gonna take the screen and I'll run everyone through the plans real quick.
Yes.
Can everyone see this?
It's about to come on.
Yes, I see it.
Yes.
Maybe we can
Okay.
enlarge it slightly.
Certainly.
Yep, looks good. Getting there, thank you.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag.
Now,
So,
I don't see it now. Now I see gray screen.
yeah, me too.
Maybe we can make it, like, the screen itself bigger, because it looks tiny. Huh, okay.
How's
Yeah,
that?
I see, yeah, we can see it. Can everyone
Okay.
see it? Commissioners, everybody can see it? Okay, yep, getting thumbs up, go ahead.
All right. So I'm just going to run through the existing conditions very quickly. There's 3 buildings that are part of this site. The original church, the chapel / fellowship hall, and the center building, which is Memorial Hall. So here in this first image, you see the chapel, and fellowship hall is behind this tree, and in the center you have Memorial Hall, which you can better see here. In this photo, you have the front elevation of the church, and then in this first photo in the center, you've got an overall of the wall connecting, dividing them currently. We're removing that wall and creating one large exhibit space, exhibit / activity space, with an office and a warming kitchen for like, snacks and treats for the kids that come in. And in the center of the building, we're creating a one-story addition. It'll be a glass facade building, reviewed and approved by the Historic Commission. And this will be our link between the three buildings, our circulation link. The main entrances will be these doors here or these doors here, and the public will come in, gather here, and then disperse to one of the three spaces. Also on this first floor, we have a bookstore, which is not a commercial or retail bookstore. It's more like a reading room for students and the youth. Now, as I said, the addition is going to be our link between all three of the buildings and all three of the floors that are part of this building. I'm going to jump down to the basement. When you come down the stairs in the lobby, these are where the new bathrooms are to serve the chapel, to serve the sanctuary, and to serve the main requirement of toilet facilities that this building will require. Down here you also have some mechanical spaces, and you also have a lunchroom, party room, sort of a multi-purpose space for the tenants to use. So jumping back up to the first floor, we're reusing the existing stairwells in the building to access the half-level first floor and then the floor up above the second floor. So up on the second floor, we have an activity space. And again, if we need to touch on what these spaces are going to be used for better than maybe Mike or Bob can elaborate on these spaces. But up here we have a couple office spaces, on a couple office spaces that exist now on the sanctuary balcony, and then again the main space that's accessed through the two stairwells. We're also adding in an elevator here in the corner, and you can see that is accessed from the main floor. Again, from the circulation lobby, you can access the elevator, which can take you to any of the three floors. And that, in short, is a brief overview of the plans of the building.
Okay, that would essentially be our architectural testimony, Madam Chair. We'll be additionally providing our engineering and testimony regarding the zoning chart as well. I'm my second expert, but whatever way you wish to proceed in terms of questions or at this point.
Madam Chair, you muted?
Yeah, it looks like she's muted.
Madam Chair, you're muted.
There's
Actually, I lost the signal. I'm gonna go out and I'm coming back in.
I think that maybe your cell may be close to you.
No, that's not it.
No? Okay.
I'm going back in. Hey. Okay, am I echoing? No.
You're fine now. You were in twice, so you're
Yeah,
good
that's
now.
exactly what happened. I don't know what the heck's going on.
IT staff fixed it. Great people, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Maricondo, who else do you have this evening?
We'll be calling our second expert witness, that'll be Dennis, from engineering site plan.
Please call him.
Dennis?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Say your full name for the record.
My full name is Dennis Keenan, D-E-N-I-S, Keenan, K-E-N-A-N. I'm with French and Prolo Associates, residing at 43A Newburgh Road, Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Just for the record, Dennis, give us your professional licensing.
Sure, I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and New York. I'm also a certified floodplain manager and certified municipal engineer.
Accept him as an expert.
Okay,
Accept him as an expert witness. Thank you.
thank you very much. Dennis, if you would, give us the benefit of your site plan. Obviously, you had the benefit of hearing all the earlier testimony and presentation, and so you can proceed on your site plan testimony, if you would.
Sure, if I could, let me share my screen here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is sheet 2 of 12 of the submitted site plan set. It's titled Existing Site Aerial. It's showing the property in question and the surrounding streets. The property is located in the center. It is lot 1, block 4708. It comprises approximately a half an acre, 0.475 acres. It's bordered by Ward Street on the right side of the sheet, Main Street on the bottom, Oliver on the left, and Cianci on the top of the sheet. And as was mentioned before, the Center City Mall is kind of located catty corner to this intersection with Main Street and Ward Street. Surrounded largely by commercial development, and the church itself is sitting on the property, taking up most of the property itself. Troubles zooming. Apologize here. There we go. So as I stated, the existing church is taking up the bulk of the property. It is pretty much right along the edge of the property on the left, right, and north or upper side of the sheet. And there's a lawn area out in the front of the building and basically faces Main Street. What's pointing down in the lower portion of the sheet. There is no on-street parking available on the property, and as I said, the site takes up most of the site. There's not even an available opportunity to locate any parking on this property. What's proposed is a renovation to the interior of the property, and then an expansion of the lobby area, as was discussed a second ago. I'm going to jump to sheet 5, and this is sheet 5 of the submitted site plan set. Again, this is the same property with the same orientation. Okay. Same orientation, Ward Street off to the right, Main Street down the bottom. You can see this area where I'm highlighting with my cursor there is the existing building, and the proposed lobby addition is the darker gray area out front. That is the entrance lobby area that was previously discussed. From an exterior standpoint, basically everything else on this property is getting touched and renovated. So all the areas along the outside perimeter of the building, the lawn areas are all being renovated, new lawn placed, new sidewalk placed in all these areas and upgraded. Additionally, all the sidewalk along the perimeter of at least the three sides of the property, Cianci, Oliver Street, and Main Street are all getting upgraded of the existing sidewalk, as the existing sidewalk is in disrepair and needing replacement. We're not proposing any improvements to Ward Street because the sidewalk there is fairly new as part of the streetscape improvements that the city has been undertaking and is in good shape, and we're not proposing any work, significant work on that side of the property. But everything else is getting upgraded. We're also upgrading the perimeter fencing around the property and installing 6 foot tall ornamental fencing around the perimeter for security purposes. And we'll be upgrading the ADA sidewalks at the 2 intersections along Main Street. From a stormwater management perspective, we're not considered a major development. We're not over an acre of disturbance. We're not over a quarter acre of new impervious. But additionally, we're not actually increasing the impervious coverage. We're actually going to be reducing it. The impervious coverage is going to be reduced by 780 square feet. We are adding an addition. We are replacing a lot of the sidewalk, but we're also removing. There's a lot of asphalt around areas on the outside that we're actually going to remove and improve and overall reduce. It'll beautify the property for one, but it'll also reduce the total impervious coverage on the property. So we're not going to be increasing the rate of runoff on the property. And all of the impervious surfaces that are proposed are non-TSS producing. They don't require water quality treatment. So the big item that we was discussing, we're acknowledging we do not propose any parking on this property. And there's really no feasible way to save this building and provide parking in any capacity. The only parking that is associated with this is there's an existing parking stall for clergy located off of Main Street that would be, we'd like to continue to have reserved for this property, as we may have buses that come and a good place to drop off people that might be coming to the facility. But we also went through and, as stated, we performed a calculation of the required number of parking stalls by ordinance. And essentially, as was presented earlier, there are 2 passes on that. We have a set of calculations that are on the plans that came to 161 stalls. We reevaluated that and reissued an account in our October 26th correspondence that changed that calculation to 103 parking stalls required by ordinance. We also noted in that letter that the existing church, which did not have any available parking, was all street parking, had a requirement by ordinance of 129 parking stalls. So we are actually reducing the parking demand with this type of facility as opposed to what previously existed there. But as was indicated, we've had conversations with the City of Paterson Parking Authority, and they are going to designate basically 100 parking stalls at the Center City Mall. 50 of those will be available during peak hours during the day, and then during off-peak hours, we'll have the full 100 parking stalls in our use. So based on that, we are acknowledging that we do need a variance for parking. However, we feel that based upon the parking availability from the City Center Mall, it's a variance relief that this board feels justified in granting. From a zoning perspective, it was noted that we initially submitted the application under the B2 Community Business District, which based upon the planner's review, it's noted that we are in the B4 Central Business District, so it is a permitted use. We're surrounded by streets, so everything from a front yard setback is, there is no front yard setback, so we are complying with the zoning. From a setback standpoint, is really just a parking requirement that any relief is required. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions or.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Keenan. I'm just gonna follow up if I could, Madam Chair, with Mr. Keenan on a couple questions. Dennis, you alluded to the fact that we're in the B4, and you would agree with Mr. Deutsch's analysis that this is an area of mixed commercial, residential, office space, and a variety of service type businesses?
Yes,
And again, following up also along the lines of Mr. Garashi's testimony, he indicated that the applicant would make every effort to, especially during the times when schools let out in the area, to limit the activity in terms of drop off or pickup and unloading and unloading on the site. And you think that's advisable as well?
yes, I do.
Okay. And if the possibility existed, would a designated drop-off area be feasible if the city of Paterson would undertake or ask us to entertain that idea?
Yes, yeah.
Would that be done?
Yes, ideally we utilize the existing area that is designated for the clergy to be utilized for drop-off.
And in your opinion, then that particular location would be adequate as long as the applicant closely monitors the pace and scale of the drop-offs?
Yes,
Okay, good. All right, and again, I know Mr. Grashi can verify also, but he is certainly committed to having an attendant, if need be, to be there for persons arriving on the site. And one thing, of course, commissioners, is I know you're aware that NJCDC is an experienced party in terms of the ability to manage locations that involve youth services and adult services by that. And as a matter of fact, where there's entry and exit from the buildings at various times of the day in terms of the services they provide. And as I just wanted to ask a couple other things regarding the site plan. I know you can reference that there is a lighting that is depicted, or more site lighting could be designated if need be?
correct. There's existing lighting out there, but certainly, yes, that's something to be added.
Okay, that could be part of a construction plan, hopefully?
Yes,
Okay. I don't believe your plan designates any cameras or other security measures of that type, is that right?
no, it does not.
But obviously that could be a possible add-on for construction phase as well.
Yes, and as my understanding, the owner's intention is to include that.
Good. Okay, and you did indicate there is security fencing proposed.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have, Madam Chair, at this time.
All right, you have one more witness? Or does that conclude your witnesses?
I'll conclude our testimony. That would conclude our witnesses unless the board needs to hear anything further from Mr. Garashi at this point.
No. Okay, well, I don't have any questions yet, so I just wanna open it up to the public. Okay, if anyone in the public has any questions of anyone this evening who gave testimony on this application, please call in at 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001. I'll allow 2 minutes for call-ins, 3 minutes for questions. And while we're waiting to see if we have any call-ins, I'm gonna open it up to the commissioners. Commissioners, any questions of any of the witnesses this evening?
Yes, how you doing, Mr. Fisher?
Please go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, my question is for Mr. Rossi, that we had the second floor. I think the architect was telling me he didn't know what was going to be on the second floor, and I just want to know exactly what that was going to be.
So the second floor will contain a room that we're calling a makerspace, which will be a sort of STEM themed lab for students to really learn STEM concepts through fun activities. That's how I think I would best describe it.
Okay, so of course you will have a teacher for that, and
That's very good.
no problem. Thank you.
Hey, Commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Ahmed, go ahead, please.
Mr. Aguirre, do you have any lease agreement for parking space and parking authority at this moment, or will you have any?
We have the letter of intent, Commissioner, which was read into the record. which is dated October 28, 2021. And if need be, we could detail that agreement with the parking authority in more detail. The board has customarily accepted this letter of intent with the understanding that the parking authority works with us in that regard.
Mr. Ahmed? Commissioner Ahmed?
Yes, that's all, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Lorenzo?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I have a question for Mr. Garashi. The fence in the back is destroyed right now. That's gonna be fixed or put it a little higher than what it is right now?
Yeah, so there'll be security fencing around the entire perimeter. And, you know, an important objective here is to take whatever's falling down, dilapidated, problematic, and fully restore it.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners?
Chairwoman, Commissioner Fulmer has a question.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Fulmore, go ahead.
For Mr. Garashi. I'm just thinking about the increased traffic flow that will be in that particular area. Have any considerations been taken in terms of traffic lights and stop signs, with the engineering of the city?
We haven't gone to city engineering. Typically, that element of the review happens at the time of seeking permits, when the city engineer gets involved. And the only thing that I would offer, just as a layman, is that I think it would be difficult, because if you know that stretch of Main Street there, essentially there are already traffic lights, and putting in additional traffic lights there probably would only, make things a little bit more complex. And so I think really it's just about, site management. The important thing, and the commissioners who were present might recall that 2 weeks ago we were here to talk about an expansion of our youth center property up on Front Street. And, these are kids who will be using, what we presented 2 weeks ago is that kids will be, largely kids using the youth center up on Front Street. And I think that's the same case here. Most of the times it will be students on foot. But we just have to prepare for that eventuality. What happens if we need 50 parking spots at any one time? And that's when we entered into those conversations with the parking authority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garashi.
Okay, commissioners?
Commissioner Figueroa, I just wanted to add, it's not so much a question. I believe this is a site, I'm pretty familiar, this is a beautiful, beautiful historic building. This Oasis, this is a former site for Oasis, and I do, and I'm showing my years here, but I remember in the mid-90s, they ran an excellent food program and hot meals for women and children, and they had an excellent Dress for Success that when I was directing the job readiness program, I would send the adult students there. So for me, it's really wonderful to see that it's going to continue to serve the community. It's really needed, and I believe even then, and I'm not saying, it all, like you said, it's site development and making sure that things are thought of in advance, and I think it's not gonna be that much of a burden, I would think, on traffic in the area. And it's good that the city is going to allow you use of the parking. That was it.
Okay, any other questions? I just have, a request, I guess. I personally would like to see, and I believe this was mentioned, but should the commissioners decide to vote in favor of this application, I would like to make it a condition that, cameras and lighting, would be, added to this application as a condition. And that's really all. I believe that, everybody was in agreement before, but I'd like to make it official, should they decide to vote in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, do we have any callers from the outside?
No, we do not, but before you continue, I did, submit something to our attorney, Mr. LaRocca, who agrees as well to include camera and lighting. So he is aware of that.
Okay, good. All right, so,
Mr. LaRocca?
We'll make the camera and lighting a condition of any resolution, any issue with that, Mr. Maricondo, if it is for approval?
No issue at all, we agree.
okay, so one last time, any commissioners, any questions? Okay, hearing none, then I'm gonna ask, Mr. Maricondo to please summarize.
Thank you again, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'll be brief. I think the applicant and our experts have fully outlined the purpose and intent of this site. It really speaks to the commitment of NJCDC, if I may say so, to continue its ongoing efforts to serve the Paterson youth in an extraordinary way, in my opinion. This site, as we've talked about, has significant historical significance, I should say. And the site has been reviewed by the Historic Commission in a very favorable manner. We believe that the preservation of this building, while at the same time putting it to the type of practical and very significant use that we're proposing tonight, is an added element of value to this application, in our opinion. This site will be used in a manner that carries out educational / recreational functions for the young people of the city. And we provide the opportunity for parking on site, as off site, and our experts have testified substantially and provided proof that the City of Paterson Parking Authority will be working closely with us to ensure that the individuals who need parking off site, close by, I might say, will be adequately taken care of in that regard. And the preservation of the building goes hand in hand with the new uses. The building is ideally suited for this particular kind of adaptive reuse. So we ask the board respectfully for a motion for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would any commissioner like to make a motion on this application? Commissioners?
Mr. Commissioner Eugene, I'll go first.
Okay.
Excuse me, I just have one question, whether the designated, drop-off and pickup area will be a requirement of a revised plan.
I would like to see that entered into a revised plan.
I'd like to ask a question as well. Does the planning board require a lease from the parking authority?
No, that was already answered. Usually we just accept the word of Mr. Perez, who usually comes through all the time.
And the letter of intent clearly documents that, that's correct. And we understand that our experts talked about the fact that the former pastor parking area, in their opinion, would serve adequately to provide the drop-off and pickup area. And we expect that would be a part of our site plan. If I can ask Dennis, he would agree?
Correct, and even actually right now on the site plan, it indicates that area will be converted into a drop-off area.
Right.
Okay, then is that okay, Michael?
It's the same area is currently a designated drop-off and pickup area?
It's currently designated for clergy parking, so it still holds the same signs that have been there.
And if I can just enter in, we would go, it probably would require the approval of the city council, I would imagine. So we can certainly represent here tonight, and if you'd like to memorialize it in your minutes, that we will do that.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, so Commissioner Dean, where the conditions would be, well, actually, I think Mr. LaRocca could probably better spell it out if I can, but I think we're looking for the lighting, we're looking for the cameras, and we're looking for the designated drop-off area, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, Commissioner? Vice Chair?
With
Got it.
regard to the designated drop-off area, you're gonna depict it on the site plan and provide a new site plan, is that correct?
Actually, it's on the site plan as Clergy Park, and Dennis, do we need to amend it at all, or?
No, at this point, I don't think we do. I think we just might have to go to the city council if anything.
Okay, alright.
I'm sorry, I have to bring this alight. There is a bus stop right there in Main Street. I don't know if that's a concern also there. But there's a bus stop in there that they picking up people and dropping off people there.
Well, I think Mr. Araka would agree that that would be a condition from the city council. It should be brought up at one time. What do you think, Mr. Araka? Well,
The bus stop is what it is, if I may interject, and it helps everyone.
It's actually a beneficial thing to continue it there because we envision many of the students would be taking public transportation.
Exactly.
I believe that, Mr. Lamont, were you alluding to the fact that maybe the bus stop was in the way of the drop-off?
No, it's probably gonna help. I go by every day, I pass by, and I think that will be helpful for the site.
I'd just like to have Mr.
That
Araka
makes it easy.
confirm that.
That makes it easy. He placed on the record what he was saying, and I do agree, Mr. Maricon, that that's not something that can be addressed here this evening. So I think we're good where we're at, and we should move forward.
Okay, good. Alright, so I'm gonna move forward with Commissioner Dean. Vice Chair, please. Thank you.
On the application of New Jersey Community Development Corporation, 32 Spruce Street, Paterson, New Jersey 07501. Party address 318-330, Main Street, Block 4708, Lot 1. I move that the board attorney prepare a resolution granting the block variances site plan approval. City engineer approval, HB Soil District Conservation approval if required. At least within the Paterson Parking Authority, Paterson Historic Preservation Commission, County of Passaic County Planning Board, since Paterson Main Street is a county road, with the condition of having camera and lightings and having designated drop-off and pickup area.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Who was there second? It was that Commissioner Roman.
I second.
Fillmore? Okay, I think it was Commissioner Roman, I don't know, Maggie, did you hear one?
I heard Commissioner Roman.
I'd like to ask the court reporter, please, may I ask the court reporter what she heard?
I heard Roman,
Yeah.
Fillmore, and Ligranzo.
But I think it was Roman that we heard say second, so I'm gonna go with Commissioner Roman, okay. Okay, roll call please.
Commissioners, Commissioner Ahmed?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lidanzo?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Santana?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Roman? Okay.
I didn't hear you.
I didn't hear him either.
Commissioner Fulmore?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Fulmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Roman, you said yes, am I correct?
Yes, Madam Secretary.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Figueroa?
Yes.
And Vice Chairman Udine?
It's a yes.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Northrop?
Yes, congratulations, good work.
There's 9 affirmative on this vote. It is, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank the board for your consideration tonight.
Yes,
Thank
Madam Chair, if you excuse me,
Yes, please, go ahead.
would like to thank the board for your support on this and other projects. Together, we move Paterson forward, so thank you.
Oh, yes, we do, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. In the meantime, I'm gonna ask now, Mr. Deutsch, what are we doing? What's going on next?
Our next regular meeting is Monday, November 15th, on the web at 6:30.
Okie dokie. I won't be here, so I'm assuming Commissioner Udine will take over for that.
I have to take day off from my other, evening work. I teach in Paterson on Monday, but I will take day off.
I'm not here, I'm definitely not here, so, alright, well, they'll figure it out, no worries, no worries. Okay, so I wish is there any other business this evening?
Yes,
Who's yes?
North, Mr. Fisher, can you see me?
Yeah, Commissioner Fisher, hi, go ahead.
How you doing? I received an email tonight and, about our festivities every year. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm hoping that everybody can make it, it'll be a fun time, we had a fun time last time, we'll have a good time.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So, okay, then I think that's it for this evening, am I right?
So one quick second, if anybody cannot make it, please call me or send me an email. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
Okay,
Thank
alright.
you, Madam Secretary.
Alright, we're good. Alright,
Good night.
okay, good night, everyone, I wish everyone
Thank you all.
stay
Good night,
safe.
guys.
Good night.
Everyone.
Thanks for filling in, Marco.
Yes. Definitely.